There's a moment in almost every journey that nobody talks about. Not the beginning, the middle, the quiet middle, the place where nothing dramatic is happening. No applause, no visible breakthrough, just work. Day after day. And this is where most people stop. Not because everything went wrong, but because nothing exciting is happening. Progress feels invisible. Effort feels repetitive. And the mind begins asking a dangerous question. Is this even working? Here is the truth most people discover too late. The middle is where the real transformation happens. Not the beginning, not the breakthrough. The middle. Because repetition builds identity. Think about someone learning a skill. The first week feels exciting. Everything is new. Energy is high. The brain releases dopamine because novelty feels rewarding. But after a few weeks, novelty disappears. Now the work becomes routine. And routine feels boring. The brain interprets boredom as a signal that something is wrong. Psychologists call this the plateau effect, a stage where progress is still happening, but it becomes invisible. The system is adapting. The muscles are strengthening. The neural pathways are reorganizing. But the visible results lag behind the effort. This delay tricks the brain. It feels like nothing is happening. But in reality, the foundation is being built. But boredom is often a signal that something is working, because the nervous system has adapted. The task is no longer unfamiliar. It's becoming part of who you are. This is where discipline quietly replaces motivation. Motivation starts the journey. Discipline continues it. Think about a marathon runner at mile 20. The crowd is gone. Music is gone. The excitement from the start has disappeared. Only breathing remains. Only steps. Left foot. Right foot. This is where the race actually happens. Not at the starting line. Not at the finish photo. But here. Where nobody is watching. Where quitting would feel easy. And continuing feels ordinary. Yet every step forward is rewriting the outcome. But there is another trap. Sometimes things are actually going well. Progress is real. Results begin appearing. And strangely, this is another moment when people stop. Not because of failure, but because of success. Success creates a new kind of pressure. Expectations grow. Responsibility grows. Visibility grows. Suddenly, the mind whispers another question. What if I can't maintain this? So people slow down. They hesitate. They stop pushing forward. Because success changes identity. It forces you to see yourself differently. If your channel grows, you are no longer someone experimenting. You are someone responsible for an audience. If your fitness improves, you are no longer someone trying. You are someone expected to maintain discipline. Growth creates responsibility, and responsibility can feel heavy. But this is where persistence matters, not only when things go wrong, but also when things go right. Because consistency protects progress. The people who succeed long-term are not the most motivated. They are the most stable. They continue moving whether the moment feels exciting or ordinary. Now let's talk about the other side, when things actually go wrong, because that moment comes for everyone. Plans fail. Effort doesn't produce results. Projects collapse. Energy disappears. And in those moments, the brain begins constructing a story. This proves I'm not capable. This proves I started too late. This proves this was a mistake. But failure is rarely a verdict. It is information. Every system that improves does so through feedback. Muscles grow through micro-damage. Skills grow through mistakes. Businesses grow through iteration. The brain learns through error correction. Failure is part of the learning loop. But emotionally, failure feels personal, because identity becomes attached to outcomes. When something you care about fails, it feels like you failed. This is why many people stop trying, not because they cannot continue, but because continuing threatens their self-image. Stopping protects identity. Continuing evolves it. Think about someone learning to walk. A child falls hundreds of times. No one interprets those falls as failure. They are simply part of the process. But adults judge themselves differently. One mistake becomes evidence. Evidence that they are not good enough. Evidence that they should stop. But the process has not changed. Learning still requires repetition. Growth still requires discomfort. Persistence still requires patience. The difference is interpretation. When a setback happens, you can interpret it as proof of failure, or as data. Data that helps adjust the direction. Resilient people do not experience less difficulty. They interpret difficulty differently. They see friction as feedback. They see resistance as information. And that shift changes behavior. Instead of stopping, they adjust. Instead of quitting, they iterate. Instead of collapsing, they continue. Now, here is the important part. Persistence does not mean pushing blindly. It means continuing intelligently. Rest when necessary. Adjust when needed. But don't abandon the direction simply because the moment feels heavy. Because every meaningful path contains two critical moments. The moment when everything feels ordinary, and the moment when everything feels impossible. In the ordinary moment, people stop because they feel bored. In the impossible moment, people stop because they feel overwhelmed. But both moments require the same response. Continue moving, not dramatically, not heroically. Simply continue. Take the next step, one action, one adjustment, one attempt, and then another. Progress rarely looks dramatic from the inside. It looks repetitive, quiet, sometimes even frustrating. But repetition builds momentum, and momentum compounds over time. What feels small today becomes powerful through consistency. So if things are going well right now, don't slow down. Consistency protects growth. And if things are difficult right now, don't stop. Difficulty often appears just before adaptation. Both moments require the same mindset. Calm persistence. No drama, no panic. Just steady movement forward. Because the truth is simple. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need constant motivation. You need direction, patience, and the willingness to continue, especially when the moment feels ordinary, especially when the moment feels heavy. So wherever you are right now, most people quit right before the system starts working. Not because they are weak, because the reward is delayed, and the brain struggles to stay patient when progress is quiet. Remember this: progress is rarely loud. Transformation is usually quiet, and persistence often looks simple. One step, then another, then another. Keep going, keep adjusting, keep learning.